The honourable member for Edmonton Strathcona, followed by Olds Didsbury Three Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For 40 years, FCSS has supported community mental health programs, family intervention services, childcare and seniors programs, to name a few. Yet even as this government pays lip service to early intervention, FCS funding has been virtually frozen for a decade. By failing to keep pace with population and inflation, FCSS has been cut by almost one-half since 2004. So to the Minister of Human Services, why does his government care so little about supporting communities to care for their most vulnerable neighbours?
Honourable Minister of Human Services.
Mr. Speaker, our government makes substantial investments in protecting everyday hard-working Alberta families and those that need our supports, Mr. Speaker, in times when they're down. So, Mr. Speaker, FCSS is a great program. We're glad we have it, Mr. Speaker, and we'll continue to work with all of our partners across this province to make sure Albertans are looked after when they need it most.
First supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But given that underfunding forces FCSS to reduce or even eliminate funding for programs that keep seniors secure in their home or, say, keeps families intact and successful, and given that the slow demise of community supports is the predictable result of this PC government's misplaced priorities, why won't the Minister of Human Services replace empty platitudes with action and increase FCS funding to make up for your years of neglect?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this year the Human Services budget is going up about 5.5%. We have various different investments that we're making on the front line, Mr. Speaker, to help people in their most difficult times, Mr. Speaker, and do a lot more early intervention work. For example, Mr. Speaker, working with our parent link centres to be able to help reach families that may potentially have issues of domestic abuse. So we're investing very heavily in early intervention services, Mr. Speaker, and we'll continue to work with our partners to make sure Albertans are protected.
Final supplemental, honourable member.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you're not investing, you're freezing. Now, given that when there's a press release to be sent, this government is the first to fill it with empty promises to help vulnerable Albertans, and given that the real story is that cutting almost 50%, that either services are significantly diluted or the number of people shut out from these early intervention services is growing drastically every single year, I'll ask again, why won't this minister increase funding to FCSS to make up for his government's decade of disregard?
Mr. Speaker, this year's budget for Human Services, as I said, has an increase of about 5.5%, 6% in the area of child intervention, 5.9% for support for persons with disabilities, Mr. Speaker, 4.5% for age, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 6.7% in the area of childcare, 17% in the area of homelessness. Mr. Speaker, we're investing in areas that help support Albertans when they need it most, Mr. Speaker, and will continue to do so.